Neil grew up in Johannesburg, and it's informed so much of his sort of artistic sensibility. This crazy juxtaposition or collision between first and third world.
I'm a big fan of gritty environments.
When you see the cityscape, it looks like a science fiction city.
It's a fascinating place. It is this incredible melting pot of countries and cultures.
Johannesburg in particular is a violent place. It was kind of a perfect backdrop for a place that would need Jozi to come in.
The murder rate in South Africa goes between like 40 and 60 people a day.
It's a city that looks like it's had a war, but the war's never happened.
I want to shoot the chopper stuff much wider, and it'll give you such a sense of geography.
I think it's very smart to shoot here from a visual point of view, as well as an atmosphere in the city, which is, like the world of our film, huge dichotomy here.
So this, in a wide shot, that whole thing is the press conference.
There's this sense of sort of high technology and really modernity here, but there's also a sense of, it being very connected to the rest of Africa and being in some ways still a developing world.
It's about the city and the tower, and then tilting down. So we're on the highest floor.
The world that he can create with these backdrops, it just shows how many worlds can exist in the modern city.
Welcome to the real world, eh?
There's a million things in the film that are inspired by Johannesburg. It's a critical part of the filmmaking process for Neil, in terms of the landscape, in terms of the character, in terms of the intensity, in terms of the incidents that happen.
And as he moves, now you know that you're in.
The style of everything kind of relates to Johannesburg, which Neil really wanted to play in the film.
You get all these dark alleys and graffiti, and the downtown is a bit kind of destroyed, and as a visual element to add to the film, it's almost the point of camera, and it looks great.
So Hillbrow is like a dodgy part of town, and we found a few bullet holes, but these are my favorite. This is a full auto across the front of the building, which is always good.
Hillbrow was interesting. When Neil decided that he wanted to shoot basically a massive riot scene in the middle of Hillbrow.
I think, dude, one camera up there that gets over the edge, and then one on that side there, raking against, because as the sun goes down, it'd be really cool to be shooting through that stuff as it goes down.
He needed the urban look, but it had to be surrounded in buildings so that he had the depth of the buildings and the height so that we could throw fridges and throw TVs out of buildings, because that's what happens in Johannesburg.
We have rigged this entire building. From the roof, we've got a couple of ramps sticking out, and we're attempting to land a fridge onto a little blue car over here. And then just for fun up the road, we're going to have a whole bunch of burning cars and a lot of people throwing Molotov cocktails and various in the heart of Hillbrow.
We are destroying Johannesburg.
Shooting in Hillbrow, we had to take bigger security precautions. We had a security company on especially for that particular night that we were shooting there.
Guys, you know what happened if this is a real riot? Can you break that line? You guys are dead.
We must have had 10 meetings in prep to sit down and talk about evacuation plans and talk about what was going to happen if anything did go wrong.
We had barriers for everything, and everyone knew exactly what van they were going to get in if anything happened. Because if it turns bad and you've got 150,000 locals there, you don't know what they've got. So we were very well prepared.
The city is tearing itself apart.
So this is my favorite building in Johannesburg, which when I grew up here, it was my favorite building in the city, and I was never allowed to go in because it was a crime den of note. But now it seems to be fixed up and we're able to shoot here. Good location.
Ponte is a location that we shot King's Crime Den. Ponte's a great building. It's probably got one of the best views of Johannesburg. It's in the middle of downtown. It is dangerous, but they're trying to change that.
The Ponte building literally feels like it has the heart and soul sort of stripped and gutted and cut out of this building.
I'm just still here, guys. I'll just keep God. Yeah.
A king!
My brother.
A man.
The decoration of the apartment upstairs in the hallway was as it was in the day.
In the real world, Ponte used to be a apartment complex for very wealthy citizens. And in the early 90s, Ponte was taken over by gangsters. Police couldn't even go into the area because it was so dangerous.
That area in Hillbrow, that's like the most dangerous place in South Africa by leaps and bounds. And like Ponte, that building we're shooting's got like the highest suicide rate in the southern hemisphere.
They literally jump off into the shaft, and so the elevator stopped working. The folks that live there stopped bringing the trash down, so they just throw the garbage into the middle. And it stacked up over the years to the 5th or 6th floor. So it's just like 50 feet of garbage that needed to be cleaned out of there in order for movies to start shooting there.
Dude, is this for real?
The difficulties with shooting in that were, the surrounding environment was a little bit touch and go. Just getting in there was was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting a summer place here in South Africa. It's really nice.
You come around and down.
Everything about that building, it affects you, no matter who you are and no matter how many times you go there. It's a pretty incredible place. Just a little bit frightening to hang out there.
When I first did my first music video, I shot it inside Ponte, but we had to like dodge like bricks and eggs and stuff.
People also die because they throw shit on people's head when you stand
There's
there.
a style, if you walk into the middle, you throw someone with it.
Because if they start throwing bricks and bottles of urine, how do we keep the crew safe? Do we make a net? And Neil was like, no, it's easy. We'll just weld all the windows closed. So they welded thousands of windows on the inside of this building closed so we could shoot there.
Creating a space at the base of that building was, obviously a big thing for him because of the internal atrium. Creating this space where all of these gangsters kind of have their gambling ring, basically turning the whole thing into an amphitheater.
The dogs, all 4 or 5 of them at times, were just digging in their heels, and they didn't want to go inside because the dogs were feeling me for sure. Like, let's get the hell out of here.
And that's how we build sets in Joburg.
From the very beginning of reading Chappie, anyone who read it would have read interior Dianfort den and thought, okay, interior, den, house. Neil, no. Neil, power station. I want big, amazing, crazy building to put Dianfort in because deactivated power station in Johannesburg is very iconic.
Cool, but a bath in there? Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah. When we looked at a number of locations that were certainly a lot smaller than that, but Neil fell in love with that as a space that they could live in and do their own thing in and hide out in.
That's a pretty incredible shot.
Neil decided he wanted to shoot in the power station. So what that meant was we had to send in 3 different engineers to check the building because steel is being stolen from the building because people can make money off the steel. It's a power station full of hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of steel that's being stolen.
We should rebuild this so the Chappie can punch it out. Like if they're showing him martial arts stuff, he actually kicks the wall out. That's cool.
So immediately when we knew that Neil wanted to shoot there, we had to lock off the location, get structural engineers in to make sure that the building wasn't going to fall down around us and it was safe and secure for a crew of 200, 250 people to film it.
I'm surprised how much has been left behind.
Like there's so much fresh fruit still to be picked. Yeah.
We had initial meetings with Dianfort and showed them our ideas and found out how they felt about what we'd put forward. So this is your stuff? Yeah. This is stuff that...
Yeah.
The people who are doing art department, we're a bit like this alien to them. They were like, what the hell are we working with? And they weren't quite sure how to work with us because we're quite specific.
Yeah, and make like alien head cupcakes and like yin yang cupcakes.
Exactly, space cake.
Neil let us bring in our homie Kezia, who's like does all our music videos with us, and so it was just, we just had a little team of the three of us doing the main things, just decorating our little secret hideout. You know, just pimp yourself out as best as you can with whatever you have.
The challenge with that was trying to feel like it was homely in this vast environment. With their help, obviously, they put their own style and their own feel into it, particularly with Ninja's artwork and that sort of stuff, and made the space their own.
It almost went Japanese pop, just went in this crazy direction that I didn't expect. The final product just is unlike anything I've seen. People are just going to look at it and think, what is going on?
This is my childhood home that I grew up in that will now be the gangster's den. And it's been taken over by squatters. So it's kind of a bit strange to see it like this, but it's also sort of cool that it's going to get put on film. I think everything plays out like by the pool and then by that central patio area.
One day Neil comes to me and says, I want to shoot in my childhood home.
A squatting group of 5 families moved into the house and kind of took it over. So at one point there were shacks on the tennis court.
The tenants had completely stripped the inside of the house.
I think they took all of this too. This was the sink. So they took the door. I don't know why. This was my bedroom. So I had a lot of computers in here. But yeah, this was my zone. And again, there's still in the windows. And again, there was an atrium with really cool tropical plants here. They left that window, yeah, they didn't steal that.
I'm gonna take this one, Neil, I'm gonna sell it, eh?
Yeah.
I'll take this one.
Shaw actually came here. So when we were kids, this was, yeah, Schloply has been here.
I was in the house and it was very different at the time.
It had a different vibe.
It did.
What's like back in New York?
The house was actually in much better condition than it ends up on film, because I'm sure it was nothing like that growing up.
Yeah! I want a billion ranch! Serious?
Neil had a very strong vision of Hippo's lair being full of guns and full of prostitutes and full of colour and music and money and all those things that make a gangster a gangster.
Let's go!
Ideas for the extras came from gang reference, but also an African feel in there with a large braai in the pool with what they call smileys on it.
This city belongs to me!
They've taken it over and made it their own and basically brought the whole tone of the neighbourhood down in the process.
Very quickly, this little world of Hippo's lair, which used to be Neil's childhood home, became a reality.
I want everything! Let's go!
It's so great to see a director who's doing a film do it here with crew that he works with. He has family, his brothers in the film.
The idea is, this all comes from up there, through one of the windows into the middle of this room.
If we shot it anywhere other than Johannesburg, it wouldn't have had that same sense of texture that this city gives it.
Everybody knows when there's a riot that you bring corn.
Yeah, because that's what you throw at people.
The first thing you bring is corn.
He just gets so excited about the project, which gets you excited and your whole team.
To have those people around, and there's just something for him that grounds it, and that probably helps him give the film such a grounded feel.